Continuing with How the Great Religions Began by Joseph Gaer. Book 1, The Religions of India. Part 3, Hindustan, Land of Many Gods. Section 5, The Assembly of the Noble. Dayananda had changed his name, put on the clothes of a beggar, and left his home in search of a teacher who would teach him the truth about religion. For many years Dayananda wandered through India, studying with different learned men, but the teachings of none of them satisfied him. Finally he decided to go to the banks of the Ganges to study from the holy man gathered there. The holy men gathered there. The Ganges is the most holy river in India. A Hindu with a few drops of Ganges water in his palm would never dare to swear a lie. Surely, thought Dayananda, religious teachers there must teach the truth. Dayananda went there. Among the many religious teachers he found one who hated idols, and with him Dayananda studied. You have heard about the Brahma Samaj, the Assembly of God, haven't you? Asked the teacher. You know, a Reconstructionist movement. Yes, answered Dayananda. That is the Assembly of God organized by Raja Ramohan Roy. The very year I was born in. Yes, the very year you were born in. Ramohan Roy, like yourself, was not satisfied with all the teachings of Brahmanism. He was a great scholar and studied Arabic and Persian and Sanskrit and Hebrew, and made a careful study of a book called the Bible, which is the sacred scriptures of Christian missionaries who have come into our land to spread their religion. In that book he found some teachings he liked very much, and those teachings he tried to combine with the teachings of our religion. Then I ought to study the Bible of the Christians, said Dayananda. For 2 years he studied the Bible of the Christians and the teachings of the Raja Ramohan Roy. In those 2 years he became convinced that one ought not to believe in many gods, but in one God, that there are no caste by birth, but that some people are born more intelligent than others. He also believed, like the Christians, that if a man repents, having done anything evil, God forgives his sins. But he still believed in reincarnation and nirvana, as taught by Brahmanism, the religion of his country. After he had these ideas very clear in his mind, he went out over the land to teach them to others, and he organized his followers into a sect called Arya Samaj, which means the Assembly of the Noble. This sect Dayananda started when he was 51 years old in 1875. Dayananda died only 8 years later, but his work was carried on by his followers. At the present day, the Assembly of the Noble is known all over India and has a following of over 700 million men and women. And remember that Joseph Gaer, presenting this supposed superiority of Christianity, talked about how before the whole New Age movement, there was that sort of thing going on in India and trying to put in a higher light the Hindu, non-Muslim, non-Buddhist sort of religions over the Hinduism. particularly the ones influenced by Christianity, or he thought was preparing the people for Christianity. Six, Hinduism and what it is. And so in India today, there are many religions and many religious sects. There are some Jews and many Christians. There are many millions of Muslimin, I'm going to say Muslimin. In that land, there are Buddhist, Jainas, Kabir Panthis, Sikhs. There are the Brahma Samaj and the Arya Samaj. There are in the hill country worshippers of trees, rivers, and spirits. In India, too, lives a little orphan religion that was born in Persia, but is now almost entirely in India. Of this religion, Zoroastrianism, which wasn't known for even over 1,000 years after Zarathustra, because he didn't. The Achaemenid Empire, but anyways, was the one that founded that. You shall hear a great deal later in this book. But the great number of Hindus today, over 250 million of them, hold fast to various forms of their old religion, Brahmanism. These followers of Brahmanism, well, there's twice as many today. These followers of Brahmanism still believe in the holiness of the caste. Long, long ago, so they believe they had only 4 castes, or maybe 3 times as many. But today there are nearly 19,000 different castes. A man of a higher caste would not eat or drink together with one of a lower caste. They would not enter the same temple. They would not let their children play together. The lower the caste, the more it is looked down upon. But the Hindu, who belongs to even the lowest caste, considers himself superior to and better than the millions of people in India who are called outcasts. When an outcast wants to buy something from the village storekeeper who belongs to a caste, he does not enter the store. He dare not even come near it. He stands in the street and calls out what he wants, and leaves the money in a place especially arranged for that purpose. Then he runs away some distance. The storekeeper brings out what the outcast wants and takes the money. After the storekeeper returns into the store, the poor outcast comes and gets the goods the storekeeper has left for him in the street. Bunch of sickness that is. Brahmanism is the only religion in the world teaching the belief in the division of people into caste. Actually, that's not true. The followers of Brahmanism believe and worship many gods. Long, long ago, they worshipped only 33 nature gods. Well, it's a little more than that. Now they have nearly 33 million gods, and some people say 10 times that. Not all of them, of course, worship all the gods and idols. Different sects of Brahmanism worship different groups of gods. Today there are so many religious sects of Brahmanism teaching so many different beliefs that it's almost impossible to say anything about this religion that would be true for all the sects. There are Hindus who believe in snake worship. There are Hindus who believe in gods and idols with many heads, many feet, many hands, idols with heads of elephants, or idols with heads of eagles. There are many who worship cows and bulls. There are some who worship monkeys. And remember, it goes, a little beyond that to realize that initially some of these things may have been symbolic mention, and people realized that, but over time, particularly when you could sell idols, that changed. All these various sects of Brahmanism are called Hinduism. No matter how different the beliefs of these sects may be, they all lead the same kind of life. Hinduism is therefore not so much a religion as a way of living. The followers of the various sects of Hinduism have their own temples. Some dress differently from others. Some have different religious holidays. Some have different sacred books. But all of them are alike in that they believe in reincarnation and nirvana. The most important belief of all these sects of Hinduism is that man made up of a body of a soul. You know, Nirvana Beyond Wind, not the musical band. Some people may miss that. The most important belief of all these sects of Hinduism is that man is made up of a body and a soul, and that the soul is the most important part of man. How important the Hindus believe the soul of man to be is shown in the following story, taken from one of their religious books called the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. The soul is knowledge. That's what it's called. There lived a king in Vedas 2,700 years ago, and his name was Janaka. To this king, the great and wise men came to discuss religion. Among them sometimes came the great sage of his time, Yajnavalkya. Once, when the great sage was alone with the king, he said to him, "Great king, I wish to give you a gift to prove my gratitude for your kindness to me. Ask me for whatever is within my means, and I shall give it to you." "If I can choose whatever I please, great sage," replied King Janaka, "then permit me to ask you to answer me some questions as your gift to me." "Ask, great king, according to your pleasure." The sage readily agreed. "Great sage, answer me, what light is the light of man?" The king asked. "The light of the sun is the light of man, O king. It is by the light of the sun that man does all his work." The sage replied, "It is as you say. But by what light is man guided when the sun sets?" "By the light of the moon, great king. By the light of the moon man does all his work after the sun has set." "But what light is the guide of man when the moon sets?" The king asked. "When the moon sets, man is guided by the light of fire, O king." "It is as you say, but when the fire goes out, what guides man then?" "Speech, O king. By speech man is guided even in the dark." "But what is light to guide man, O sage, when the sun has set, and the moon has set, and the fire is out, and his speech is silent?" Then the sage Yajnavalkya answered and said, "When the sun has set, and the moon has set, and the fire is out, and his speech is silent, then, great king, the soul is the light of man, for the soul is knowledge." Namaste, without all the blasphemous indications.